The first two questions for the podcast are, one, how did I become an Orthodox Jew? The second question is, how did I get into music therapy? So I'm going to answer the second question first in today's podcast, and then I will answer the first question, how did I become an Orthodox Jew, in next week's podcast. So, how did I get into music therapy? It happened a number of years ago. So I've been practicing as a therapist for over 20 years, but and I received my PhD in psychotherapy just during COVID. Gave me something to do. I have a son. Who, well, we're not quite sure what the diagnosis is, and the diagnosis doesn't really tell the full story anyway. Maybe he's schizophrenic, maybe he's autistic, maybe he's delusional, maybe there's some brain damage, maybe a little bit all of the above. It's been very hard to diagnose him. None of the medications he's been on since he's been a child have really worked very well. The only thing that really worked was cannabis. And they say that cannabis doesn't really work for people who are schizophrenic, but for autism it works. Maybe for brain damage it works. So the bottom line is nobody really knows what the story is. Nobody really knows what's wrong with him. And so, being that medication didn't really work, we tried all sorts of different things. Plastic glasses that had different colored lenses. To try to balance different chakras. I mean, there's this is ancient wisdom, and that might work for a slight little tweak, but for something that was as profound as my son's disability, nothing really worked. We tried all sorts of different sound healings, and nothing worked, unfortunately. Unfortunately, nothing really has worked, and nothing that sort of continues to be the case, unfortunately. But it worked for me. Having a son with a disability was very, very stressful. Still is. And I needed to chill out. Still do. So really it started for him. I was trying to help my son, but ended up helping myself. So the first instrument I purchased was from Amazon, and it was a steel tongue drum, and started playing it, and just made such an exquisite sound. Whenever I felt a little bit of anxiety, I would go over to the steel tongue drum, which was out of tune, and in retrospect, not really the highest quality instrument, but I would just tap on it, and it made such a wonderful tone. I just felt it opening up like a drainage hole for my anxiety, and my anxiety would just sort of go down the drain hole like water going down the drain hole in a bathtub, like stale dirty water going down the drain hole in a bathtub. That was sort of what happened to my anxiety, to my stress. It just sort of dissipated, and it was so wonderful. So from there, I wasn't giving up using sound on my son so quickly. It just obviously wasn't going to be the steel tongue drum. So I purchased some tuning forks. And he actually liked the tuning forks. It was just, I think, a matter of using them. And he never really used them. So because if you don't use it, it's not going to help you. So that was sort of the story with that. But then from there, a friend of mine introduced me to, that's what it was. From there, it was, I decided I needed to get a Native American flute, because I'm from Montana, and really it was the Blackfeet tribe that encouraged me to become an Orthodox Jew. And I felt I needed to sort of reconnect with my roots, being from Montana and being close to members of the Blackfeet tribe. So I bought myself a Native American flute. And it was a Stellar flute that I purchased over Amazon. Stellar makes really good beginner level flutes. So they also make good flutes for more advanced levels as well. But their beginner level flute is just great. And I started playing it. I never thought I was a musician or musically talented in any way. But I started playing this Native American flute and decided I needed to get another one. And so I got another one. And this was a drone flute. My second flute was a drone flute from High Spirits Flutes. And in the key of H.A.R.P. And there's a few, I've played it on this channel before, so you might have seen me play it. And then from there, sort of decided to see how I'd be with drums, but I really have very poor rhythm, and that didn't go so well. My younger sons have pretty good rhythm, so they took to the djembe and the darbuka pretty quickly. But I just didn't catch on. But I got a Native American drum, and that was great, and that really resonated with me. No pun intended. Yeah, maybe there is a pun intended, but that really resonated with me. And because it's a soul thing, it has to do with the soul. For me, music has to do with the soul. It's an expression of the soul. So I was looking for instruments that I could play after about 5 minutes of practice or less, and would express my soul, give expression, give voice, give musical voice to my soul, to my heart, to my liver, to my guts, to my mind, to my soul. And so from there, just started getting more and more instruments. I got a Koshi chime. I got a metal phone, which is another type of a chime. And then of course, and I still didn't have a gong. And a gong is, in many ways, it's the pinnacle instrument of all healing instruments. So I got myself, it's about 16 inches, 16-inch Wuhan wind gong, and that was it was a sound like I've never heard before. And from there, went on to get some Grata Sonora gongs and different mallets and more gongs, and the gongs just give expression to who I am. All the instruments give expression to who I am. You know, it's a form of nature. The sound healing is really a form of nature. The healing sounds, I should say, are sounds of nature. They're sounds of nature that are not made by birds or by the wind and the leaves. They're made by humans on instruments. And as you probably see, I love being out here in nature. So playing healing instruments, it's sort of part and parcel of that. I love doing yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, breath work, studying spiritual books, learning from spiritual masters. And for me, playing healing sound, working with healing sound, is another expression of exploring wisdom, both externally and wisdom internally. And it's a way of connecting with nature. And I hope that makes sense. It's hard to explain. It's just nature. It's not the sound of a brook or of a waterfall or of waves. It's the sound of a gong or of Koshi chimes, which, yes, are made by human beings. They're made by men and women, but at the same time, they are sounds of nature that I just so enjoy. Right now I'm listening to the sound of the wind in the leaves, and when I get home, I'll knock on a gong, and I'll tap on a gong, and I'll listen to the sound of nature expressing itself through the sound of tapping on a gong with a mallet. So that is a rather lengthy explanation of how I discovered sound healing and music therapy. So it's my own therapy that I'm sharing with all of you. And I would be remiss if I did not mention in this podcast episode that I do offer one-on-one healing sessions using the H.A.R.P method, which I have innovated. More about the H.A.R.P method later. But there is a manual. There's a link to the manual on the About page that you can look at. And if you want to support me on Buy Me a Coffee, there's a link also below, and that would be very appreciated. And what else? Yeah, I would say that's about it. So thank you for joining me, and I look forward to having you join me next time. Please leave a comment, share this video, comment on it, and I hope to see you on another episode.